All right, take two from the CSI Expo. This is day one, and I'm here with Ozzy Reynolds. How's it going, Ozzy?
Pretty good. I'm glad I could fix that audio issue for
Yeah,
you.
let's see if you actually did. Let's turn on the chat and kind of see who's here, and if you guys can hear us okay, let us know. It's like deja vu. Let us know if you can hear us and see us. Hey, Corby's there. Okay, we have sound. Yes. So Ozzy, he popped the hood on the audio equipment and pulled out a screwdriver and made some adjustments and got us fixed there. So thanks, Oz.
You're very welcome.
So we were just talking, you and I, they had no idea, but we were talking about the pro event that kicked off today. So who's the sponsor on that? The title
sponsor is Alpha Coin.
And it's crypto, right?
It is. It's a fairly new cryptocurrency, and their aim is to be the cryptocurrency for the pool industry.
Awesome. And there was some kind of deal where at the players meeting, it was a little hard for me to hear, but something where we get some crypto.
It is, and I don't want to butcher those details, but yes, anyone who is participating in the event and goes to the Alpha Coin table can open a wallet, and they get a free bonus just for doing so.
Nice. Yeah, so the event kicked off today. I already played my first match, Ozzy, and it didn't go as planned.
You were just telling me how stellar you played.
Yeah, it was stellar. I felt really comfortable. I felt like the tables were playing good, and I felt comfortable out there. I just kind of got down to the wire there, and I had this shot. If you've played pool, you've been there, where you're just in between. You know, it's like, do I hit it with low and stun off the rail, or do I just kind of float the cue ball a little bit and I hit it right smack dab in the middle? I missed the 9 ball, and it ended up costing me the set. So
it was probably the format's fault.
So let's talk about the format.
Segue.
So the format, right? I was with you in Arizona last year, event number 1. And at that time, there was some spirited conversations with one particular pro and a few others.
That's putting it delicately.
And the conversation was around the format. You need longer races. Well, you've made some tweaks to the format, but not those races. They've stayed. You're still with the 2 races to 4 and the shootout. And here we are. We have how many players in this event?
So this event was supposed to be 128 players. We sold it out 6 weeks early. And we were just going to stay put because our floor plans were done. Our planning was done. Our crew was done. The schedule was done. And so many players were contacting us like immediately, like, oh my God, I can't get in. I want to get in. And we wanted to fulfill that demand. So we went back to the drawing board. We changed our floor plans at the 11th hour. We added some more 9-foot tables, and we were able to increase the field to 192 players.
Wow.
And filled that up too with a waiting list. So next year we are going to add at least 2 more tables and go to 256.
Nice.
Yep.
256 players. Well, I got to tell you, with the field you have out here now, it is like just monster after monster. Even the Taiwanese players made it over, which we haven't seen them stateside in forever.
Yeah.
You know, but they were standing in front of me at the players meeting, and I'm just sitting there, you don't get to rub elbows with those guys too much. And I'm like, wow,
sure.
I kind of hope I get to play them, and I kind of hope I don't, So what's it mean to have the Far East players coming back?
Well, it's not just those guys. It's everyone, right? Where it feels like we're getting back to something closer to normal.
Yeah.
When we got shut down, even before this event got shut down in 2020, leading up to the event with the pandemic really kind of kicking off and looming over everywhere. I mean, it disrupted international travel, and it was just an eerie feeling from the beginning in 2020. Nobody knew what this thing was or how bad it would be. And then, of course, we weren't even able to finish the event. And then 2021 got postponed from March to September because of the pandemic. And when we could hold the event, we all had to wear masks.
I remember that.
A lot of the international players couldn't get here. It was a good event, but it was just different. And boy, we're coming out of the gate swinging on this one. This one is pretty special with the growth of the pro events, the outstanding numbers on the league events, all the international players coming back, guys whose names you included, the Taiwanese guys. It's just spectacular. I think we've got over 30, I don't know, 30 something countries represented here.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I saw a player from Libya. At least that's
Mhm.
what his shirt said. And he stopped Shane as he was warming up today and got a picture with him. And so hopefully I get a chance to talk to Shane, and I'm gonna, say, well, what's that like? Warming up, like warming up for your match, and somebody stops you to get a picture with you. But he handled it really graciously and took the picture and everything.
Mhm.
But it's really cool to see all of these players from all around. I was talking with Sharik from Singapore, and
Yep.
of course Aloysius Yap is here from Singapore. So we're. Molina, Mike, and I are super excited to be here. We want to thank you again for having us.
I want to thank you. I know it's not easy taking that time away from your life to sit here for 10 or 11 days, but we're happy to have you. And there's not a ton of media in our industry, in my opinion, and I think you guys are doing a good thing, and I think you got a lot of potential.
I appreciate that. Yeah, Molina Mike is dogging it. He was supposed to be here. I don't know what happened. He tells me like 2 days before the event, oh, by the way, I don't get there till Wednesday night. I'm like, that's
okay.
Crazy. And we try to dial him in here and get him in, but something was going on with his audio. But he'll be here. I think I pick him up at the airport at 11 p.m. tonight.
Yeah.
And so we'll
Yep.
be, yeah. So, we have plans to get some players in here. Already talked to a few players and said stop by. Sharik's one of them. He's going to stop by. We're going to interview him and talk to him, maybe some others. But guys, do us a favor. Anything you see out here that we're putting out, any of the content, share it, get it out there. Looking just from the first day of this event, kind of looking around at where we are this year, it's amazing. Like, it just seems like it's a bigger thing than it was last year, and it was already big,
Yeah.
And so, what other events we have going on? Is this the amateur started today with the 9-ball? Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm going to cheat. I'm going to pull out my event program. There's so much going on, it's easy to miss. So obviously the BCA Pool League World Championships. BCA Pool League has been around since 1978. Big, well-established global league. The USA Pool League National Championships is also taking place. The Alpha Las Vegas Open. Brand new event this year is the Alpha Women's Las Vegas Open.
Nice.
64 players, WPBA sanctioned event. And we also have this is a brand new event also over in the Miranda Ballroom, Joey. I don't know if you've been over there yet. The setup is not quite complete, but it is the Las Vegas World Cup 3-cushion event.
Really?
There are 10 Predator 3-cushion tables over in the Miranda Ballroom, and there's going to be 220 3-cushion professional players.
No way. I had no idea.
Competing in that event. Yep.
I'm really excited to check that out.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That whole ballroom in the past has been broken up into sections and used for various things like
pictures,
referee training and meetings and things of that nature. Yeah. And but we had an opportunity to host this 3-cushion event, and it really, really adds kind of a cool layer to the Q Sports International Expo. So we cleared all that stuff out, relocated it, and 95% of that ballroom is allocated to the 3-cushion event. I think that's going to be pretty cool. And then obviously we have the Predator World 10-ball championship at the end, which has doubled. It went from 64 players to 128 players.
Wow.
And the added money went from $100,000 to $130,000 this year.
Wow. I'll put you on the spot. What's first place pay? Do you know?
Oh, I
think I got you on that one.
I believe it's $60,000.
That's good. That's a good payday.
Yep.
You were seeing a lot of. I think I remember when Fedor Gorst won the 9-ball world championship. It was like 25,000 or something, and it was like, man, to beat the best players in the world and win a world championship, you should really get compensated a lot better. And so you guys are really stepping up and doing that. How are you able to grow it like that?
It's a variety of things. I mean, Predator, CSI, and our partners were making an investment. Some people might say making a bet that what we're doing is going to lead to growth, will lead to other sponsors coming on board, will lead to growth in the leagues, will lead to additional exposure so that more products can be sold that we're showcasing with the exposure we get. But primarily, Joey, and I mean, it's going to sound like you're teeing me up to say this, but the format of the U.S. Pro Billiard Series is all geared toward making the event more exciting for the viewers, because we believe that's where kind of the end of the rainbow is. That's where the pot of gold is to get more people interested in the game. The hardcore, diehard fans are there, and we do care about them. However, we know what those numbers are. We need to grow that. We need to grow the spectator side of the sport. And one way to do that is to try to capture the attention of the more casual viewer or someone who's never even considered watching pool in their entire lives. And if you do long races, races to 8, 9, 11, 13, pick your poison, it's just not that exciting.
Yeah.
It really isn't. I mean, even for someone who is a die-hard pool enthusiast like myself, I'm skipping until the end.
Yeah.
I want to see what happens at the end. In the format that we've created with 2 short sets plus a shootout if necessary, every game kind of feels like the end.
Yeah.
If you're the spectator. And we're seeing the fruits of that bear out. The crowds on site are better.
Yeah.
They're more engaged. They're not just coming over, maybe it's a race to 8 tournament and it's 2 to 3 and you walk away and come back an hour later. No, when it's 2 to 0 and the first set to 4, you're staying put because you don't know what is going to happen. And the criticism you mentioned last July in Arizona, the look, I realize that this format will at first initially offend someone's sensibilities of what pool should be, right?
Yeah.
I get that. I've been playing pool a long time. I've been around it. However, data is data. And one thing that Fargo Rate is really good at is data. And they have thoroughly analyzed our format since we started. And what would you say, we'll make this a little interactive, in a race to 8 tournament, what percentage of matches do you think end up in upsets?
Probably 15.
It's really close. It's 17%.
Okay.
So 17% of matches with an race to 8 format are upsets by Fargo rating,
Sure,
of course.
sure.
So let's just assume that's
Right.
really accurate measure. In our format, U.S. Pro Billiards Series format, 2 races to 4, a shootout if necessary, what percentage of those matches do you think end up in upsets?
Well, the assumption would be more, right? Because that's the argument from the pros, right? Anybody can win a race to 4, so I'll say 22.
16.
Really?
So this format, Mike Page from Fargo Rate likes to use fancy words. He would say this format discriminates even better than a straight race to 8 tournament format.
Maybe because of the pressure.
Well, we could theorize as to what it is, but at the end of the day, the results are going to be about the same, but it's going to be far more compelling along the way for the viewers.
I tell you, I really take my hat off to what you guys have done because it's a trade-off, right? You knew that your decision was not going to be popular amongst the players. Anything to shorten races, anything that would give the appearance that they could get beat by someone not as skillful is going to get criticized. And you guys knew that. You went into it knowing that. You did it. Like I said, at that first tournament, you were catching a lot of heat for it. Each tournament since, I think people just kind of get it. They kind of see it. And it is what it is. But what's happening here with the fans gathered around is what you were trying to achieve. And I think that's really cool.
It is. And we're not there yet. I mean, I don't want to thump our chest too hard at this point. I mean, this is year 2.
Yeah.
But what we thought would happen is starting to happen. When we formulated the U.S. Pro Billiards Series in the beginning, and this is a partnership initially just between CSI and Predator, we had lots of team meetings, lots of Zoom calls, lots of discussions and online forums that we used to hash out every little detail. But the prediction from the very beginning was year 1, backlash, lots of people taking a wait-and-see approach.
Gnashing of teeth.
Gnashing of teeth. And I won't even say players. I'll say people are naturally skeptical.
Yeah.
Right. I am too. And when something new like that comes along, especially if it's something that's like vastly different and it may very well offend your sensibilities of what a pool series should be, you may not play and you'll sit it out. So we predicted from the beginning the 64 player fields probably would not fill. Vegas would, because we had a history with that one. 128 players with the Las Vegas Open. We were confident that one would fill, but the other ones we said we're probably not going to fill these in year one. Year two is where it's going to start to really bear fruit, and we think we'll fill every event in year two. And this is the third event of year two, and so far all three have filled.
Nice.
With a waiting list. So hopefully we keep that going, keep that momentum going this year. But yeah, I mean the viewership is up, both on site and online. Billiard TV is very, very happy. The YouTube channel is crushing it. And we're getting a lot of positive feedback. Now, we get, it's not all positive. We get some, world champions should never play this format kind of a thing. And I get it. But, anecdotal stories that I hear quite frequently with a guy told me the other day he was watching one of the tournaments on YouTube, and his 8-year-old daughter walked in, and she was like, "What's going on, Daddy?" And he was explaining to her the shootout, because it was in a shootout when she walked in, and she was just like totally captivated. And she watched this thing, and she watched it till the end. Obviously, one player won, and she was leaving the room, and she was like, "Okay, Daddy, call me again if there's a shootout."
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's a powerful story. And we hear things like that a lot. The wife, coming in to speak to the husband, or vice versa, and kind of sticking around because it's, 3-3 and the second set, and maybe it's going to go to a shootout.
Yeah.
And you just want to stick around and watch.
Well, I mean, if you don't have a dog in the, if a horse in the race, so to speak, you're rooting for a shootout almost every time because it's just exciting.
And what is the most successful currently? And this is debatable, but what do you think is the most exciting, successful, compelling event in our sport today?
Moscone.
Yes. Is Moscone Cup long races?
No.
Okay, they did that right. They did it right. Multiple short races. It's compelling. It's semi-fast. It's exciting. That's just where we
Pressure packed.
It's pressure packed. Everything is more meaningful.
Yeah.
In fact, that might be why it discriminates a little better than a race to 8.
Yeah.
Because when the pressure's really on, who typically prevails in that situation?
Yeah. The ones that have all the training, all the skills. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I see it. So there was a rule change announced in the players' meeting that drew applause from the fans. So the 10 ball no longer counts on the break.
That's correct.
So how did that come to be?
So that is something we had a healthy debate about way back last November, when we were talking about what changes, if any, we would make to the 2022 series. There were a couple people, hell, I don't mind telling you, I was one of them, who was really lobbying to change that, because I felt like that was one area that was kind of the Achilles heel of the format, that didn't need to be there. Like, I didn't feel like the 10 on the break counting as a win added much excitement.
And it hurt the credibility a little.
And it hurt the credibility a little, and it opened the door for criticism where there wasn't a huge door for criticism, in my opinion, with some of the other aspects of the format, because it was working.
Yeah.
So a couple of us were lobbying pretty hard to, look, let's just change this. And the players were vocal about it. I mean, and I don't mean social media. That stuff is, someone else can read that stuff. But there were actually, and this was great. I love the way this unfolded. There were players who would come to us at the event, very calm, very respectful, saying, "Hey, we understand what you're trying to do here, and we're fully on board with you, but we think it can be better if you make a few changes." Now, we will agree with some and maybe not agree with some, but that is the one thing that continuously came up. And I had to tend to agree with them. At the end of that debate, an overwhelming majority of the team felt like we should just leave it alone at least for one more year so that we didn't have any kind of knee-jerk reaction. So we started off the 2022 season leaving it as is. The 10 ball would count as a win if made on the break. And we had 2 events this year. And some of the members who were against changing it saw some more feedback over the last couple of events, and I think they were convinced.
Huh.
So we had not an emergency meeting, but we had a team meeting leading up to this event. We said, you know what? Rather than wait, if we think it's the right thing to do, let's go ahead and change it because we think it'll be better. And we want to show the players that we do listen.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'll have you know that I did make the 10 in the corner on the break earlier.
Of course you did.
When I was on the hill, and it did not count, and the layout was stupid, so I didn't get out. But hey, I'm going to take a quick look at the comments here. It looks like, yeah, some people are commenting about the golden break, no longer counting. Cheers from Spain. Hey, guys. Hey, if you guys have any questions for Ozzy, go ahead and hit up the chat. I want to just take a minute and thank all the sponsors that are sponsoring Doggit for us to be out here, really. You can look across the bottom of the screen. We're going to be doing different things where we talk about them throughout the week. We plan to go live at least twice a day. Molina might be walking around with his gimbal and interviewing people on the fly. Who knows what we're gonna do? We're kind of wild and crazy like that sometimes. But we're here talking with Ozzy Reynolds. So Ozzy, I'm curious because when I get knocked out of this event, which is probably gonna happen tomorrow, there are
just bursting with confidence.
Yeah, I haven't hit a ball in 3 months, and everybody's like, "Yeah, every pool player says that." But
you hit a ball an hour and a half ago.
Well, yeah, up until this event, I didn't hit a ball for 3 months. I promise. But there's a few other events that you don't have to be a BCA league member to play in, right? The CSI events.
That's correct.
Yeah, tell people about those because there might be people coming into town, maybe coming in with friends, or just in town or within driving distance, or maybe even jump a plane and come out here. Tell them about those events.
Yeah, I appreciate you teeing that up for me. So this the league side of this event is the BCA Pool League World Championships. To participate in the BCA Pool League divisions, you must be a BCA Pool League member. To participate in the USA Pool League National Championships, you need to be a USA Pool League member. However, there are lots of people from lots of different areas of the world who may not have the opportunity to play in either of those leagues, at least yet. And we are confident that if someone comes to this event and experiences it, they're going to see that is the absolute best league event you could ever play in the whole world.
I agree with that.
And it could plant the seeds when they go back home to perhaps start a league, or maybe there's an existing league and they can sanction under the BCA Pool League umbrella. And then everyone can participate in this event next time. So we wanted to provide a pathway for people who did not have the opportunity to experience this event firsthand. So we do have several divisions that we call the CSI divisions that don't require league membership. We don't really want those divisions to outgrow anything else. We want that to just be the dip the toe in the water experience, and perhaps you migrate into one of the leagues. So we have the CSI 9-ball singles, CSI 8-ball singles, CSI 10-ball singles. And last year, not many people realize this still, we added the CSI team division.
Oh, really?
Yep. And the intent there was, look, we recognize that in some areas, the only thing around may be APA or VNEA, or pick one of the other alphabet soup leagues that may be in that area. If you play with your buddies in a different league, like an APA league, for example, but you want to come here and just experience this event, you can play in the CSI teams division. It doesn't require any league membership. As long as the 5 players, the 5 teammates are under a certain rating limit, you can come on in and play and experience the event. And that too could plant the seed for that league back home to come on board.
Are the CSI events handicap?
They are not.
Okay. So it'll be straight race to whatever.
Straight race to, whatever.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I wanted you to explain that, not for everybody else, but I was hoping to learn more because I want to play, in my downtime here, something I can actually win.
Yeah. The
Hopefully.
only requirement with those is that the player be rated 720 or lower.
Oh, right. Okay, good. Yeah, no problems here. So Molina Mike says, what's a guy got to do to get invited to the stream? Well, Molina, we did invite you, but your technology wasn't working. Just so everybody knows, Molina is on his way out here, picking him up tonight at 11 p.m. He's at the airport right now. So, Ozzy, what else in terms of this event this year are you most excited about, would you say?
Well, getting past the whole COVID hump, I think, is the most exciting thing. Um, you know, there are a few people wearing masks. I guess it makes them feel more comfortable, but for the most part, it feels normal again, right?
Yeah.
It kind of feels like 2019, but better. And the league membership numbers are up. The event participation is up. Vendor space in the main room totally full.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I used to go to the Super Billiards Expo on the East Coast. I went there every year for like 20 years, and I loved competing in the event, but more so I loved just checking out all the vendors.
Yep.
And I think this is probably as big as what they have out there in terms of vendor space.
I appreciate that. If I have to be honest, I think
They got you a little bit.
They got us on vendors.
But the experience is similar, where you're playing a match and you're like, you know what? I dogged it. I need a carbon fiber shaft. You can walk around and you can find somebody and drop $400 on a carbon fiber shaft.
We do have a lot of vendors, and most of them are in the main room, the pavilion ballroom. And this year, there's a lot of vendor space sold. The main room is totally full. We had to go to the drawing board and determine by fire code just how many doors we could block with booths. And we maxed that puppy out. And as you can see, we've even got a few in the lobby. But this is kind of the vision, right? So when we sort of rebranded and reimagined this event 3 years ago, the vision was it takes it all, right? There's the play aspect, there's the league events, the pro events, and the vendors are critical. Like you said, that's one of the things that you really enjoy, just shopping the vendors, right? So
every year I'd pick up a little bit of gear.
And we wanted to put a greater emphasis on that. One way to attract more vendors is to have a better event and to bring more people out. So that's where it all starts. And we're starting to see that happen. We blocked all the doors that we could by code. We've filled up the main room. We've spilled out into the lobby. The vision is to one day, Joey, you've walked these halls, I assume, is to have the main room full, all the hallways full, all the way down, wrapped around the corner, and eventually outgrow this place.
That'd be awesome. But speaking of this place, they're about to start renovating, I heard.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, tell folks about that.
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw all the rumors that have been swirling around for a few years, but people have been saying, oh, the Rio is going to be torn down and a baseball stadium is going to be built there. No, not true. The Rio was sold a couple years ago, I believe, to a new company called Dreamscape. And Dreamscape has a number of holdings across the U.S., but this is their only property in Las Vegas, which is really exciting. This isn't one of 20 properties in a portfolio that you kind of get lost in the shuffle. This is their focus in Las Vegas right now. So they purchased the building from Caesars. Caesars is leasing it back for a few years and continuing to manage the property. So for all intents and purposes, it looks like Caesars right now. Everything is Caesars. However, Dreamscape is the owner of the building. And shortly after this event ends, they're going to start their renovation plan. They have they quote, multi-$100 million renovation plan in place. I've seen renderings. I've been to dinner with some of the key players for Dreamscape. We're actually the biggest event at the Rio now.
Really?
The World Series of Poker was number 1. We were number 2. World Series of Poker has moved over to Bally's, which, by the way, eventually will be Horseshoe. They're going to rebrand that place. And that makes us number 1 at the Rio.
Huh.
So I think they appreciate us. We certainly appreciate them. They're keeping us informed of the renovation plans. They're not sure how long everything will take, but they're going to start one floor at a time. So they'll renovate an entire floor. They'll keep the floor above it and below it vacant to be buffers, so it
Yeah.
doesn't, disturb anyone nearby. And they're just going to do that methodically, one floor at a time.
Do you expect to see like the convention space upgraded, or restaurants and other things, or just the guest rooms?
So what I've been told so far, and I think they're still massaging their plans still, to be honest with you, but there's going to be major renovations in the guest rooms, um, major renovations in like the casino, hotel check-in area, even outside in the drop-off and Uber area, and renovations in the convention center. The extent and which one gets more focus, I'm not quite sure, but I do know there will be some renovations in the convention center as well.
Nice.
Yeah, very excited about it. I don't think all those renovations will be done by the time our 2023 event rolls around, but I think a good number of them will be. In fact, we're going to tour some model rooms that they've already got completed while we're here this week.
Nice. I mean, it gives people something to look forward to.
Yeah,
Part of the
absolutely.
experience is not just what happens in the pool room and in the convention center and with the vendors, but also, I'm staying here for 11 days,
Yep.
or 10 days. And so I want my accommodations to be nice. And, so I'm excited for that. I think that's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great for the event too, to have a fresh, new, updated property.
Yeah.
Because
So
it's showing its age a little bit. But
yeah. So this event is bigger this year than it was last year.
Yep.
And last year I couldn't catch up with you until like day 8. And here we are on day 1 and we're talking. What changed for you at CSI?
we got help.
Yeah.
We got help. Staffing is a problem everywhere, but we've got a new event manager on board. Plug Katie Scott. Thank you for everything. She's really saved me yesterday. I've been doing a lot of the day-to-day event work out of necessity.
Yeah.
COVID happened. You're not really going to go on a hiring spree in the middle of that. So I've been filling in the gaps. But now we're coming out of that. We're growing like crazy. It's not a good use of my time. And quite frankly, it's just too much for one person to handle. But Katie came on board recently, and she's crushing it. So
yeah, she's
here
a
I am
firecracker.
talking to you.
Yeah, she's a firecracker.
Yeah.
She came up to me when I first got here. I was like, hey, I don't have like the normal table and chairs. And I messaged you, and she came by me in the hallway, and she's like, hey, I'm going to take care of that for you.
Yeah.
Don't you worry. It might be a little while, but I'm going to work on it. And as soon as I walk back out here, everything's here. So I'm like,
she had it done before I could read your message.
yeah, she's crazy. She's awesome. Definitely a staple of the pool community here in Las Vegas as well. So
yeah.
she gets it from a player's perspective.
Yep. And I have to give credit where it's due. Amy Kane, our general manager, she found her. She hired her. Wasn't me. I just stumbled through life getting lucky.
Well, that's awesome. Hey, as folks are asking how long the vendors are going to be here, but it's pretty much through the entire event, right?
Yep, they're here from open to close, and they are actually not allowed to break down until 4 p.m. Saturday, April 2nd, I believe, is the date.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yep.
Yeah, especially since I'm here as a vendor, I guess.
And trust me, if there's still plenty of people in the room that want to shop, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We're actually right here next to Off the Rail apparel company. They have tons of stuff right inside. There's Jam Up with their booth with tons of stuff. They got pool tables at different booths. Salado has a pool table in there, and people are just beating balls around over there. A lot of fun stuff to do here, guys. So make sure you come out and check it out. You'll definitely have a blast. So, Ozzy, is there any other things that you want to kind of share with the folks before we kind of break? Anything that's kind of going on, or?
We covered a lot of ground. I would just say anyone out there listening who's never been here, or maybe you've been here but it was a long time ago, it's not the same event. And I would encourage you to come out. You don't even have to play. You don't have to spend $1. Just come on out, walk down the hallway, walk through the ballrooms, experience it, take photos, and we're confident that
No flashes. No flash time.
unless you're in front of Joey's booth, then you can flash away. It doesn't matter. Just come see what we have to offer. That's all. And I'm confident that if you do that, you're going to like what you see. You're going to want to participate in the future, and we'd love to have your leagues back in your area come on board.
Awesome. Well, Oz, do me a favor if you get some free time throughout the event, stop back with us. Mike will be here, and we got an extra microphone. We'll set you up, especially as some of the events start to end. I'm really excited about seeing who wins this event.
Mm-hmm. Who's your pick?
Well, Wu won it last year, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and so now the whole Taiwanese contingent's here, but there's a ton of great Europeans here. I mean, there's names on the list that I wasn't expecting to see here.
Yep.
Ralph Souquet was warming up next to me. He just won the European Championships. But I think Shane's kind of due. I really do.
Yeah.
And I know that at least I had a feeling that he wasn't too happy with the format and some of the other ones he played in. But I think he's kind of past that, and he's just going to bear down and play good. I'm going to go with Shane.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go wrong with that pick, right? Yeah. I mean, he's an incredible player. You didn't ask me what I thought, but I don't know. But I would say this: there's too many great players in this field to probably get that one right, unless you're really lucky. But boy, when it comes to
we'll do it last longer. You take one, I'll take Shane, and winner gets a drink bought for him or something.
No, the controversy will be I'm betting on my matches.
All right.
I will say this: when it comes to the shorter races, the higher pressure, the nerves of steel kind of thing, it's really hard to bet against the Europeans in that situation. They're so rock solid with the fundamentals. But we'll see. Ton of talent. I guess you're going to make me pick somebody.
Yes. I'm waiting for that.
I'm going to go. Wow.
Albin Ocean. Albin?
No, I'm not going to go that way. Name some more Europeans.
Well, it's funny because if I would have won my match, I would have played Mark Blisterbach, from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And then if I won that match, I probably would have played Shane. And so I'm talking to Molina Mike this morning, and I'm like, yeah, if I win this match and then I win my next match, then I play Shane. He's like, well, who would you play in the second match? And I'm like, yeah, Mark Blisterbach. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Mike's like, you ain't playing Shane. And I'm like, dang.
I'm going to go Mario He.
Okay.
Because I like his nickname.
Oh, the Panda? Yeah, that is a good nickname.
It's perfect, yeah.
I like it. And he seems like a pretty humble guy.
He won one of these last year. So.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Ohio.
Somebody in the chat, who is it? Darren Thompson said Jason Shaw's always a tough out. He actually went to a shootout in his first round against a local player here, Jason Hunt. And he prevailed in the shootout. And I thought I saw the final score of the shootout was 2-1. Yeah. So they both missed a few. I'm telling you, man. That spot shot.
I heard a local commentator. There was like a little local stream here in Vegas over the weekend. Andy Mercer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that tournament. And there was a local commentator, and somehow this topic came up, which I guess is good if they're talking about you. You're relevant. Older guy, like much older, very offended by the format. And, oh my God, you should never have the best players in the world, as he would say, shooting spot shots. Well, they're not spot shots, but it's hard for these guys to make 4 out of 4. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
And I love what John Lehman said in the last players meeting in Wisconsin. He said he was going over the rules and everything, and he got to the part about the shootout, and he said, look, guys, he says, we've heard the feedback, we've heard the criticisms, but here's the deal. He says, if you lose a set and it goes to a shootout, your opponent is not going to break and run out on you where you have no opportunity.
That's right.
You're not going to have a funky layout where you just by chance, you've got the short end of the stick. It's all skill and it's all you.
That's right.
And I love that saying.
And you have the opportunity to answer.
Yep.
You know, it's never like, you know, somebody makes their 4 and you've made 3, but because they made the 4th first, they win. No, you get the opportunity to answer, and then it goes into sudden death.
Yep. And if you really think about it, the only way to lose, Joey, is you lose a set to 4, and your opponent makes more of those shootout shots than you do.
Yeah, all skill. That part. Yeah.
So, but it's very compelling. The Jason match was very exciting.
Yeah.
With the same outcome that you would probably predict in a race to 8.
Yeah. True.
So
awesome.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Well, Ozzy, we really appreciate you taking the time to chat. And like I said, stop back now that you have an event manager.
Yeah.
Stop back and chat with us some more. We're going to be probably going live every morning. Like, here's the brackets for today. Here's what we're looking at. And then every evening, like, here's some of the compelling stories that happened during the day.
Okay. Well, I'm your guest, and I'm humbled to be on your show, and I really appreciate it. I don't want to turn this into, the daily Ozzy show, but if there are things that come up or questions that come up, maybe you see it in the chat, maybe something happens on the floor, and you want me to step in and answer any questions, nothing's off limits. Always happy to jump on and talk about anything.
Okay, I got a question then.
Okay.
James Brinson said, "Are you allowing anybody to stream matches?"
So that depends on the definition of stream. So if you're playing a match and you're excited to be there and you want to turn your phone on and record it or whatever for your own use, no problem at all. If you want to come in and set up a tripod and stream it to your page and monetize it and all that kind of stuff, we are currently not allowing that to happen.
Okay. Yeah. So, and we did that last year. We did that quite a bit. And we talked to you ahead of time and you told us, hey, everybody was kind of streaming last year. So we're going to kind of, down on that. From your perspective, what's your view on that? Why is that something that you don't want to allow?
So we invited you guys to come out last year and do your podcast. And then you asked, hey, can we stream some matches? And
I don't think we asked.
I actually think you did.
We kind of did, I
give
guess.
you the benefit of the doubt. I think you asked, and really we had no issue with it because at the time we felt, hey, they're bringing more exposure on what we're doing. And it's just, if people are talking about you, it's good. If they're watching you, it's good.
Yeah.
If more people know what's going on, it's good. So we saw it as a win-win. The problem is other people saw you guys doing it, and then they wanted to do it. And before you knew it, I mean, we've got 6 people walking in here or trying to walk in here with tripods streaming to their page and everything. And it gets out of control. You can't control what's being said, what's being shown, how it's being portrayed. It was kind of a rat's nest is what it was turning into by the second and third event. And we need to come up with a better solution and a better process so that more of that content can be produced and shared, but in a more controllable way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we just haven't had the time to develop that process yet. So that's why we're just kind of putting the brakes on it until we can do that.
Yeah. And so is it fair to say that just as an example of something that could go wrong or something that could happen, somebody pops up a stream, maybe they have some commentating with it and they're trashing like a sponsor, or something like that. Is that kind of
that's certainly possible. That's not the main concern. We're not trying to control every little thing that's said, or it's not really about that. I mean, even if you talk to Karim, CEO of Predator, he has no issues with, competing companies' logos being on, being shown or being on jerseys or anything like that. People get this weird perception based on very little knowledge. None of that really matters to us. We're trying to grow the sport, and if that helps our competitors along the way, so be it. So what?
Mm-hmm.
What's good for the sport is going to be good for all of us, and we're happy to be working hard to try to make that happen. But lots of things could go wrong. I mean, what if you get one of those old commentators that steps in for his buddy and, starts talking about how terrible the tournament is or bad room service? I mean, these things can just – social media and the internet are wonderful, wonderful society-changing tools. But also, it gives people with very little knowledge, just as much voice as the president of the United States,
Yeah.
really. And other people, you can say something on the internet or you can say something on the stream, and lots of people will just take it as gospel without really thinking through what was said. Or so you got to kind of put some controls in there, just to make sure that things are being portrayed accurately.
So I wanted to, when I saw that comment here, I wanted to ask you, and I kind of knew the answer because we had talked about it, but I wanted the audience to know.
Yeah.
Just because when they're asking us, hey, why aren't you streaming this match, or take the camera over
It's
there.
not his fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault.
But it's allowed us to really think creatively about getting different players in here, other things that we can do at this event to really get people excited about it. I mean, we're just two guys talking right here. We got 54 people watching across the different platforms, which is good for a live broadcast. By the time it gets viewed, we're going to have hundreds of views on different, and so the more creative Mike and I can be out here, I think the better for you guys, the better for us, better for the whole world.
I'm not going to tell you your business. You know your business far better than I do, and I'm not going to pretend that's otherwise. But when you started your podcast, I reached out to you and said, I love what you're doing. I personally think there's a huge potential in what you're doing. Our industry, our sport, our industry really needs more stuff like this, in my opinion. We have magazines that just cover the pros. We got lots of people streaming stuff, us included. There's no shortage of that. There is a shortage of real high quality, in-depth content in our industry. We've got so many characters, so many stories, so many controversies that can be talked about in a really deep way, in my opinion. You and I have talked about this. I'm waiting for the day that we're going to do it. We can have like a Joe Rogan style dive deep into some topics, because some of these topics are pretty complicated. And the show is great. It's usually about an hour and you cover a variety of topics, but you're really just kind of scratching surfaces, which is fine. But I do think there is a market for really diving deep into some of these things, whatever those things may be. And I think it would be interesting for the viewers. And it'd be interesting, just two guys talking.
Well, the thing that once we started doing this, that I realized that I guess I didn't see before, is that there are a lot of controversies. It's just the nature of it, right?
Yep.
Like the whole situation that happened with the WPBA and April Larson and now Christina Tkach.
Yep.
And, in the past, that would have been something people would have whined about it for a week on social media, and then it kind of would have went away, and Mike and I were like, you know what, let's have Laurie John, formerly Jones, formerly Hanson, I forget what her name is now, but let's have her on the show and let's talk to her about it. And she came on the show and we talked about it, and it got a little bit, heated, kind of. Mike got a little bit wound up on it.
And I watched that, and it's very good. Like, anytime there's a controversy like that, you want to invite the person who may be in the center of that controversy on the show to talk about it. Wonderful. I watched it, but I still think what's missing, and maybe it's a follow-up, right, is for a couple people, two or more people, who have like deep, well thought out stances on these types of issues. So if I remember right, the WPBA basically, correct me if I'm wrong, said that if April plays in the event, she has to agree not to play in other events.
The top 16 players have to sign a contract that says that they will not compete in any amateur female events.
Okay, beautiful. So there would be lots of different opinions on that, right? Molina Mike may have one opinion. Laurie John certainly has another.
Pinozo had a different opinion.
Pinozo has another opinion. And you guys did a little bit of this. It's not a criticism. You and Pinozo and Mike, you really kind of talked about it after Laurie John was off. But there are other people in the industry who may have the same or different opinions, but more importantly, may have perhaps really thought about these things kind of on a deep level, right? And so to dive deep into a topic like that and talk about it for an hour, maybe not an hour, maybe 30 minutes just on that,
Yeah.
and really kind of flush out, this is what I think about it after a lot of deep thought, and this is why. And maybe it changes other people's minds. Maybe, maybe it changes the person speaking.
Well, yeah.
After that conversation.
It's funny
takes
you
place.
mentioned Joe Rogan, because I was just listening to his podcast on the way out here. And the one where he had a guy he's a black guy who has converted like 200 Ku Klux Klan members who they've basically given him their stuff. And, and the whole point of the episode was like, you have to talk to people
Yep.
and listen to people before you can change people's mind. And this world has turned into a place where, people are just like, they disagree with you. They don't want to talk to you. They want to shut you out,
Yep.
And so I think you're right. I think there's a lot of things that my initial reaction is, one way, but given the opportunity, if I give myself the opportunity to listen and really think about it, then I can change my mind.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
we need that.
And there's lots of topics right now that's going on, like the rhetorical question, don't answer, but like, what's your stance on athletes, pool players from Russia and Belarus not being allowed to compete?
It's ridiculous.
Okay,
I know it's rhetorical, but it's ridiculous.
Well, but there might be other people that feel very differently, and there may be some well thought out reasons on both sides of that argument that I think would be very interesting. Or I watched an early episode of yours where you guys were talking about the role of the WPA. And just going off fuzzy memory, but I'm not a WPA guy. I mean, I know who they are, I know what they do, I know the purpose. But on that particular episode, you guys were talking about it, but you didn't really have anyone on that thoroughly understood what the WP was and what the goals were.
Right.
It'd be interesting to do that because they've taken a lot of criticism over the years for maybe things they do or don't do. But there may be other points of view where they're like have really helped.
Yeah.
And it's these kinds of things are, for me anyway. Maybe I have a different attention span than some people, but
no, I like it. I think you're right.
I find value in the weeds,
Yeah.
and not so much on the surface.
No, I think that's great. And, those are harder to do. They take more preparation. They take finding the right person and, getting them on the schedule and planning that. And so maybe that's why we haven't done that, but maybe we should.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah. Well,
also takes a great interviewer. So do your homework.
Yeah. Molina Mike's really good from what I hear. Well, Ozzy, once again, thanks so much. We're going to close it up now, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to check out the sponsors across the bottom. These folks were really generous in helping Mike and I get out here. We got some great companies there that joined on board with us. We have Clinkers, we have Franco Custom Cues, we have 3 Seconds, Golden State Billiard Supply with Oscar Dominguez, Simonis and Aram. We have Dunsky's Dungeon, Q-Tech, and we're gonna run your logo up there, Ozzy, for having us out here. We appreciate that.
Very humbled.
Yeah, and Kevin Boxio, I think his name is. He's got a little. I think he does artwork. And
you have more sponsors than we do.
Yeah, I know. Molina Mike's been working hard, but I'm really excited to see what we're going to work out with Kevin because he does like this artwork with pool players and stuff. So we'll see what we have going on there. But we'll tell you more about that when Mike gets here, since I'm the guy that got like 2 sponsors and Mike got everybody else.
There you go.
But Ozzy, thank you. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. See you guys.